We're going to call to order the Town of Fontana Downtown Council meeting here on January the 17th. Going to call to order at 5:39. Let's see. Who we got here? All right. First, I'm just going to go around, since we may have some new faces here. We'll just go around and just introduce ourselves, just so we all know who we are. I'm Rob Hardy. I'm the mayor, kind of running this circus tonight. Thanks everybody for braving the weather and coming out here. It's kind of tricky out there, but it's not as bad as it could have been, I suppose. Thomas?
I'm Thomas Bird. I'm one of the two newest members of the council, and I am a partner at Fontana Ventures LLC, the operator of Fontana Village Resort.
I'm Lacey McBee. I'm the financial officer for the council.
I'm Carrie Stewart, and I'm the utilities director.
I'm Jason Callhorn. I'm the guest. I'm the general manager for the resort, and just happy to come and support.
I'm John Henning. I'm Cape Chapman, Nashville, the town attorney.
I'm Becky Garland. I'm a unit coach team manager for the State and Local Government Finance Division coach team. That's the Department of State Treasury.
I'm Tony Dvorak of SIRCAP. I'm a senior technical assistance provider.
What is SIRCAP? Maybe tell me.
Okay, SIRCAP stands for Southeast Rural Community Assistance Project. We have small water and wastewater utilities throughout the state as SIRCAP North Carolina, but we operate in 7 states as SIRCAP.
And I'm Zellery Rogers. I am the town administrator.
Everybody knows her.
I can't hide.
All right, thanks everybody. Move to the approval of the agenda. Anybody have any amendments, additions, whatnot? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve that.
I propose a motion of the approval of the agenda.
Thanks, Lacey. All in favor?
Aye.
Roger. Motion carries. Approval of the December minutes. Took a look. Jumped out at me. Anybody else has any additions or edits? Let us know. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion for that.
I propose a motion to approve of the December minutes.
Thank you,
All in
Thomas.
favor, say aye.
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 Roger that. All right. Got public here. We've got a bit of public. We've got Jason and Kevin. I'll give Kevin sort of first shot to tell us anything that we need to know from the newspaper and the Robbinsville side of things.
Wow, where do I even begin? I'm Kevin Hensley. I'm the editor of the Grand Star in Robbinsville. Haven't been to a meeting up here in a while, so this is kind of new. The last time I was at a meeting, we were in the other building, so I feel like I'm a little out of the loop, but hopefully get caught up tonight. A lot of things going on the other side of the mountain too. I actually have Grand Stars in the truck. I brought everybody, so I was going to give those out tonight at the end. So get you guys up to speed.
Cool. Thank you, Kevin.
Yes.
Jason, anything from the resort side?
No, the renovation's still going very well. We're looking to hit our date of April 1. I think we'll be a little bit ahead of that, but with furniture coming from overseas and all the things going on with canals and everything else, it's still a little bit concerning. But if you've seen on Facebook, this has really done a good job starting to get some sneak pictures out there of what it is that we're trying to achieve and do.
Is she doing your photos too?
She is.
A lot of people like old photos.
Amanda Ryan went to the archives in Georgia for the TVA. It's wild that it's in Georgia, but it is. And brought back
That took me a second.
brought back a lot of those photographs. So it's been really fun to see some of that stuff and for it all come to fruition. But the pictures of the lodge rooms are, I've been fortunate enough to work with very high-end exclusive hotels, and this is going to be a great piece for us and for the community. I mean, when we think of Fontana, we always want to think of it as the living room of the community here in this area, and it's the biggest resort in the Smoky Mountains. So good stuff. Good stuff.
All right, thanks for the update on the resort there,
Yeah,
Jason.
thank you.
All right, we'll move along to, I guess, our first discussion item here. We got a water plant update, generator contract and whatnot.
So, do you want to start with you guys, or do you want to go ahead and have Carrie just do a little bit of what she's got to say there?
Well, I can piggyback off of what you're saying.
Okay, so we have 3 generators, one at the water plant, one at the wastewater plant, and we've got a portable one that we use the intermediate pump. The one at the water plant, it needs service, rather, the batteries are dead in it, it needs an oil change, and it possibly has an antifreeze leak. It just needs to be serviced. The one at the wastewater plant, it's got over 700 hours on it, it needs to be serviced. The battery, this, got a new battery about a month ago.
Yeah, it wasn't very long ago at all.
And the battery in the one at the water plant is dead, and it's the wrong side of the battery anyway. So, I have a proposal for, it's from Carolina Energy Systems, and what they would do, they would come out, I've got a couple of options here. Come out once a year, and this process would include, they come out and check all the filters, they change the oil, they do, it says up to 45 procedures on the generator, run through different things, for the once a year, and that includes includes all the oil, all the filters, everything. And, the price for it is $1,015 for the once a year visit, or we can go with,
So they have 3 options, right? Option,
Yes.
bronze, a silver, and,
well, the load bank, that's something different, I'll tell you what that is in a minute.
Okay.
The bronze option is for once a year, and that includes the oil change and stuff, and then on the silver option, when they come out twice a year, at 6 months, they just come out and check the fluids, go through everything, make sure everything's working properly, just kinda like a 6 months checkup.
okay.
How much is it for both of those packages?
Okay, the bronze is $1,015 for, this is just for one of this is the water plant generator, it's the bigger generator.
That's a good price.
And then for option 2, where they would come out twice a year, it would be $1,375.
wow.
And you have taxes and everything included too with that. And then if you see on the back of it where it says the load bank, the 2-hour load bank and the 4-hour load bank, that's where they come out and they would put the generators under load and make sure that they are carrying a load of what we need them to carry the load off. But make sure they're working properly, that if we were to have a power outage, they would come in and make sure that it would carry what we need for the plants, both plants, and not carry, and make sure the correct voltage and everything was going through what needs to be. But that's,
What is the load bank?
for a 2-hour, it is $790. And for a 4-hour, it is $1,180 on the bigger generator. I would recommend probably just the bronze package. And if we do, Zeller, did you notice in the email that you can click on it and pull it up and you can do the e-signatures and stuff, the contracts?
I didn't look at that, I just printed everything out, so I didn't really look at that, but.
Does that generator fire once a week?
It does. On
Yes, and
Monday
both of them do, both the one at the water plant and the wastewater plant.
And the wastewater plant is a smaller generator, and it would be $790 a year, and that includes all the oil, same thing, filters, and they
Right.
check the test and everything. And then the portable one is the same thing as the wastewater, it would be $790.
So what is the total amount if we, to get all 3 of them under a bronze package?
It would be, hold on a second.
It's $2,400-$2,500.
$25.95.
There it is.
And then if we do sign this contract and get them to come, but all 3 of them, the portable one, I think the oil looked the best in it, and I'm probably guessing Jeff or somebody has serviced that, or, do you know how long we've had, that's been what?
For which one?
The portable one for the intermediate, is that
No, we got that after we got the other, I mean, that's not been that long ago that we had that.
less
I
than, what,
thought
2
it was
years?
COVID era.
Yeah,
Less than 2 years, you think we've had that one?
less than 2, I think.
Well, I know, it doesn't, they don't
Thereabouts.
fire it up weekly, or it doesn't run weekly or anything
No.
like that, we just use it.
Where's it housed at?
It's behind the maintenance shop,
We need to.
and,
Which is why I wondered if we might not want to consider bringing it down to the water plant potentially.
well,
And
they have it plugged up there.
they do have it plugged
They
up.
have it plugged up back in there, and they have it plugged up where it will keep it.
Okay.
But, I mean, definitely the water and the wastewater.
Yeah, definitely.
When you were talking about the load testing, I find that to be a very,
It's
very
usually,
important test.
yeah, it's usually, I mean,
Okay.
like manufacturer recommended to make sure all that.
And it's not gonna be, it doesn't have to be we have to do it every so often. It's gonna handle the load based on this load test, because the reason it sounds like it might be a bit much, which isn't really that
I
much.
don't think, the water plant's not gonna run. There will be no, when we get this intermediate, if we get this pump, oh, that's another problem I'll tell you about, but if we get it going, there's no, I can't do anything.
Right.
You're just down till the power
Right.
comes back on. There's
Well, we
nothing-
put that generator on up there, right?
No, the water, no.
Not the portable one we can't?
Well, the board one would run that, but we wouldn't have.
Down,
anything
okay,
to-
I get what
That's
you're
not
talking
big
about.
enough to
Yeah,
run
I get
water
what you're
plant.
talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be just dead in the water.
I think we probably need to
And
find
there's
out
leaking out.
what the emergency cost is gonna, what that, additional cost is gonna be to jump to the front of the line.
Well, they've already been out here and looked at our stuff, right? They kind of know already what we need.
Yes, yes. And if we, tank full, power goes out, you're looking at 18 hours, 19 hours before the tank is in the village tank.
So it's
As with how much we're losing right now.
it's a critical path in trying to stay operational for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all that stuff.
Okay.
Now, fun times. So I was losing pressure in the intermediate pump house today, the pump. This pumps from the intermediate tank to the village tank. I go up there and it's spraying water. So there's been the packing or a seal or something that's froze. And where the shaft goes down from the motor, the shaft goes down into the it's a vertical terminal.
Okay.
Where it's spinning, water's shooting out. Not a whole lot, I mean, it's sprayed, you saw it, it's not terrible. But instead of gaining, I'm just gaining a little over a foot an hour. Instead of like 1.5, 1.6 an hour. I've been here since 4 o'clock this morning. It's still not full. So,
Well, just from the standpoint of the resort, Jeff contacted people out of Waynesville, and they said that they thought they could get the part tomorrow, and they could come out here tomorrow, and they didn't think it would be very extensive to
yeah, they're not
fix
gonna have,
this.
the motor sits on top of it, and they're not gonna have to take the motor off or anything. It would be able to pretty quick.
So we sealed up the building today, because that window, for whatever reason, was open.
I know, I don't quite get that either. Why?
Right, wrong, or indifferent,
Yeah.
we sealed that up, closed the door, got a heater in there, so I think we're in better shape than we were yesterday, but, obviously it's a concern because tomorrow's decent weather, but Friday's supposed to not be really great, so we kinda got a window,
Yeah.
because if she loses that, we're right back to it, if we were to have a storm or
There's
something else.
the other pump that's in the building, the smaller pump.
Right.
It's not wired up right now. Jeff's got all the parts he needs to wire it back up. But the pump is so small, it won't get water to the village tank. It won't even get it to the top of the village.
Right, so it's
Some
not
of the
really
village will
useful.
have water if that pump was on, but it won't go all the way up.
No,
to the
probably
top.
wouldn't go past Hillside.
It would keep the village kind of pressured up, but it won't
It-
overflow to the tank.
And I'm not
up
sure
top.
what it would do now that we've got that one side cut off, we valved off I think it's an old 300 block.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it would happen if we turned that little pump on, because it did change. Valving that off, we thought it was gonna help us. It didn't do, it hurt us instead of helping us, because we lost how much we were gaining an hour. We were gaining like 1.75 feet an hour in that tank, in the village tank.
Yeah.
And because water was going to it 2 ways.
Right.
And it didn't, I can't tell anything that it helped anything with a leak or anything. And we were hoping that was a main, pretty major.
But we
Where
don't-
could this water be going?
We don't think there's a leak, a noticeable significant leak on
No,
that
because it
section.
didn't change anything about how much we were
Do
losing.
you think we should open it back up?
I think so. But I'm gonna ask Jeff about this. It's too cold to mess with it right now because these pipes are so old. But you know how it's going at the corner of the road when you come into the village?
Yep.
Okay, we shut that 300 block that goes all the way to where we put that new valve in. Okay, what if when I saw the change in the tank, we had both going down 28 cut off too. What if we open the 300 block back up, and if there's a way down at the bottom of Woods Road, if there's a valve there that we can cut off, and cut off that section, because they were still in the administrative building then, and we couldn't cut it off on that side because they would cut their water off. So at the top of 28, go down to 28 to Woods Road. If
Where's
there's-
Woods Road?
The main.
The main entrance, yeah.
If we cut that section off and see if that would make a difference.
So cut off the other leg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
if
we're talking about-
cut
yeah.
back up, close that side
So we
off.
would do the same thing that you bought before, when we dug it up and did that?
I don't think we'd have to have,
I think there should be valves
I
already
think
in
there should be
place.
valves already in place for this.
Okay.
And see what that does, and then I have another idea. Because we've valved off this whole village, basically. I mean, there's a few places that we've not valved off, and it's made very little difference, not 75% water loss difference. What, if there is a valve, I need to find out from Jill, because the old maps are not showing valves real well. If there's a valve where that 6-inch line goes up to the village tank, if we could cut that off and leave where the village and everything is cut off, but we still have that line open from the tank, if that line that goes down through the woods, see if there's a leak on it, because I did find water boiling up out the ground, and it did have faint chlorine, but when Jeff tested it, it didn't have any chlorine. But water that's going through, I mean, cold weather is gonna affect your chlorine, showing that too. But also going through dirt and stuff, if you've not got a high residual, it's gonna eat it up. And you're just gonna be, when I checked it, I had a faint pink.
Right.
From a resort standpoint, I think we try everything we can right now when it's slow, so that we can try to isolate any of these problems.
But I mean,
I've
that's.
never seen anything like it.
I know, it's
But
crazy.
that's,
It's
I've looked at this map, the village map, I mean, I keep looking at this and I'm trying to figure it, but the bigger sections that we thought we'd have problems in, it doesn't change anything. So
Right.
if we can isolate, just like we did this 6-inch main line, and then check the line that's coming down through the woods from the tank, it's gonna give us answers, and when we get this grant going and stuff, we can tell the engineers that come in here, it's like, hey,
We've investigated here.
Yeah.
there's no leak, I mean, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah, we got a mile stretch coming next week, it looks like, once this cold stuff moves out, looks like.
I would be willing, I mean, I think it's worth a try, it's not gonna, and if we've shut this stuff off, and there's cold weather stuff, if it's gonna break, it's gonna break whether if we open and close these valves correctly, it shouldn't cause.
This shouldn't cause any problems.
Well, it's gonna warm up.
And near 60, I think, next week.
Really? You're
Yeah,
60?
legit, yeah.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
50s and 40s.
I mean,
Everyone's sinuses are gonna be insane.
I'm just, the places that we've not tried,
Yeah.
try them.
I think we gotta keep.
Yeah, we gotta
We
keep
gotta
going on
keep
that,
pushing,
yeah.
pushing on.
At the
And if
lot.
we have to get another valve for that line coming off the tank that, it feeds into the tank and it gravity feeds back down,
Mhm.
that's a pretty long stretch of line.
Yeah, it is.
It's worth checking out.
It is.
Yeah.
The power's on.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
I gotta go check the water plant if the power's out.
All
If
right.
the
Yeah.
intermediate tank, if it's affected the intermediate tank, I gotta go check that.
I think we're gonna take some action, if you can find
I'll
out
be
for
back.
us.
Pressing an emergency call.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll be back, but I gotta go check this, cause I
You
got.
got the
enough
red
problems.
button
I don't
box
need
over
to
there?
freeze
Yeah.
some more.
yeah, we definitely, wanna know what that emergency call and cost will be, rather than the cost for it.
I'll be back in a minute, but,
All right.
the, routine guy that I got this from, he was out of the office today, and that's why it was so late getting to me this afternoon, the quotes and everything, but I'll check it, but I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Thank you.
So do you guys, do you wanna go on in a little bit more depth?
You know, she's making a great point there, and it's vital, because obviously you cannot be without water. It's just, that's a no-brainer.
that's a shutdown
Yep.
situation.
And, there's a lot of rules and regulations that have to be followed.
Absolutely.
And I won't go into great depth about them, but being an operator of almost 40 years, I know a little something about that. So we want to dot the i's and cross the t's wherever necessary. That's necessary, including the load test like we're speaking of. That's your insurance policy.
A load test, like LOW?
LOAD.
Okay,
And
load,
what
Put it
it'll
under
do
load
is it'll
and you-
put it under a load of so many kilowatts.
gotcha.
And exactly,
Yep.
just to make sure that its design rating is being met.
Gotcha.
Because without that, you don't know, you're still kind of flying blind, because the
Completely
generator
agree
will
with that.
fail if you don't meet the load test demands. Okay, as far as criticality, yes. If you have something that's critical, it needs to be on that agenda as quickly as possible, especially given the weather changes. Yes.
And the age of our lines, but it still is amazing to me that we've gone through so much and found so little. I really
And that's-
had a lot higher hope of finding more, but getting into it as much as we have, you know?
It's coming.
Yeah, probably right.
It'll show itself.
In our back by.
I'm sorry, but it's gonna show itself.
It has to.
It
When
has to
you
sooner or
have
later.
old lines and your system infrastructure is that old, that's another failure that will happen. It's not if, it's when.
When.
Right.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
my talking points are pretty simple, but, you know, like I say, the fact that, I think we were talking about other things related to water, such as rates and everything. Accuracy is gonna be everything, otherwise, you can't really proceed to try to figure out your rates right at this moment, which is something CERCAP can help you with, but
The water loss
have
has to be
some
better
consistency.
controlled, yeah.
water loss is a non-starter for you.
Yes.
Okay, more valving where necessary, as she's speaking of, that's necessary as well, because you don't ever want to shut down large parts of a system in case you have line breaks.
Right.
So you want to be able to keep your system
Small sections
isolated,
as
very
well.
small as possible, the least amount of people being interrupted. It also saves a lot of time. So that's an issue as well, and through rates, through some of the monies that you have that's available, could actually help this situation as well. So basically, that was the biggest thing about it. The fact that she's being proactive and trying to section it off and check to see if it's creating an impact. That's got to continue.
Yes.
And I know she's eager to continue that. Make sure we're not chasing something over here and nothing over here.
Right.
So once we've gotten the evidence, then we move to the next section. That's just a normal procedure anyway. Then on top of that, I think Becky's got some talking points too.
Okay, so I'm gonna go broader, and I'm gonna be a bad guy. So you can mark it down that I'm a wet blanket. So just to give everybody a sense of what I do, I mentioned I'm a unit coach. So the state has about 140 towns and I think about 8 or 12 counties on what they call the unit assistance list. And that allows us to pull on resources like CERCAP and things like that. And obviously, Fontana has been on the list for several years, mainly due to late audits. Well, that's been cured. I'm really proud of the town because Zellery and Wilmay got ahead of the curve this last audit year, and y'all were under the wire and you did well. There are a couple of things that created red flags were the tax collection rate, which we've discussed, the mayor and Zellery. I think you only have a few taxpayers, so if you have one person that refuses to pay, then that suppresses that rate. And I had to do a little education of the people in Raleigh about how many taxpayers you actually have. But if you're not paying your taxes, you're not paying your taxes. So we've discussed that the town needs to go forth and do collection efforts under the statute. And I know your good attorney here knows exactly what those remedies are. Briefly, when a tax bill is late, it puts a lien on the property. You can't enforce the lien unless they sell the property, but at least the town would get that money. Then there's also garnishment, and there's also bank attachment. And the last resort is the worst resort, and that's foreclosure. But just to give you a sense, when I was finance officer for the county, there hadn't been any foreclosures in years and years, and this was like 2012, and there was $500,000 in back taxes that nobody had pursued, and so when I left, we had gotten about 450,000 of those. So that saved the taxpayers, that saved the budget. The boards were able to not have to raise taxes to make up that it was basically 5 pennies on the mill rate, because Graham County has such a low tax base. So that was one of the issues. And then, obviously, your viability is an issue.
And if I could share
Yes.
briefly on the tax issue.
Yes.
The Ellery has been 100% on top of it. It's been in touch with me, and we have been in a collection effort. The yearly notifications, and then there's been repeated letters to the non-payors that there are. And part of a next step, and part of the consideration all along has been not, and you understand the low percentage that there, what one person not paying us to a percentage, we only have 3 or 4 taxpayers. The amount that is to be collected is also an issue, because if you pay me to go to court and foreclose on it, you're gonna end up paying way more than you would have for,
Right.
to just collect it. So there are methods, and you named a couple of them, and there's a couple of, and I've told Zeller this, we're exploring, there's a method called in-rim collection that we can do that doesn't require you to go have an attorney collect it. So we're aware of those, and we're exploring.
Yeah, and that's what the county basically went to, was in-rim, because the collector was able to do most of the legwork on those. Anyway, so another piece of our monitoring is looking at your budget at mid-year, and also looking at your financial performance. We do it periodically. Look at it again at April when the board's formulating the new budget for fiscal '25. So I took a real close look at everything, and as we all know, the town has not received any user fees, which I look at as payment in lieu of taxes, since I think October, and water bills haven't been paid since the same period.
September.
Yeah, September. Starting in October is when they went away, I guess. Anyway, so that's obviously it's pushed your revenue way down. But the cost, just looking at the water and sewer side, the cost of doing water is not gonna change. It's not gonna go down.
If anything, it will go up.
It's gonna go up.
Just expect that because of the cost of factors and
And
maintenance.
Oh, yeah, we've got to come in and watch it for an hour.
so just if you're not familiar with the financial statements, you've got your general fund, and that's what, deals with the general maintenance and so forth, sanitation, all the general activities of the town, and then the water and sewer fund. So they sit separately. They're in one financial statement, but they're 2 separate funds. The water and sewer is considered what we call an enterprise fund, so it has to act like a business. And the object of that enterprise fund is that it come out where there's some surplus, so that the town could be putting money back for repairs and maintenance and infrastructure. And so at the end of December, the general fund had operated at a loss of about $27,000, and the water fund had about a $14,000 loss. So what happens when you're running at a deficit? Well, the big thing that we look at is fund balance, because that's your reserve, that's your rainy day fund. And that's what funds things that break, or, gives the town council the ability to do some projects if hopefully nothing breaks. That number, as well as your cash, has dropped about 24% since your audit. Okay, so your audit was June 30th, 23. And so your fund balance, which basically if you wanna think of it, it's not cash, but in your case, because you're such a small government, your cash and your fund balance has dropped 24%. What does that mean? Well, a town your size with the size budget that you have, your fund balance should be 131% of what your expenditures are. And at the end of the year, last year, it stood at 90%. Well, is that critical? Not at this point, not at that point. That's just like a benchmark that the state looks at. But if you can think of your fund balance in chunks of 8%, because basically times 8 times 12, you're gonna get right at 100%. If you divide where you are right now, because right now you've got about 65%. So you drop from 90% to 65%. You divide that by 8, then you've got about 8 months of reserve. Okay, so if you got no more revenue coming in at all, then the town can continue to operate at the level it is right now for 8 more months. The benchmark for a town your size is 16 months. Okay, so you're about half of where you need to be. All right, so that's the general fund. The water fund, what we don't call it in the accounting world fund balance on the water side, it's called unrestricted net assets. It's just all this lingo. It's dropped by 37%, and your cash balance has dropped by 45% since your year end. Okay, so if I look at your trend on the water side, if the cost of doing water is, you know, staying constant to where it's been for the last 6 months, then we would end the year not only with a net loss, but we would end the year in the hole in your reserves, your cash, okay? So that is not allowable, basically, from a state perspective. But more importantly, you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna make up that negative position. And remember when I said funds have to stand alone, it's not acceptable for the general fund to come in and prop up the water fund. Plus, that's gonna continue to pull down the general fund as well. So, no, if you get no more revenue, then 8 months left to operate the general fund. If you continue to operate at the same expenditure level and being in a hole on the water side. So what do you do? And I'm just gonna state the obvious here, is you're either gonna have to reduce your expenditures to a draconian level, or you're gonna have to try to get some revenue in. So what's your sources? Your main sources of revenue is your user fee, payment in lieu of tax from the resort, and your water bills being paid. So I'm going to talk about what would happen if you weren't on a town anymore, because there are towns that have gone out of business. There was one that year before last, they turned their charter in to the state. They couldn't make it financially. Well, my chief concern, as I've mentioned in just some of our conversation, is that what would happen to the water plant? Because the resort needs to, you know, whether the town continues to operate or not, the resort's gonna operate. And how would all of that work as far as the water plant's concerned? That plant was funded with Appalachian Regional Commission and I think some EDA money, federal dollars, okay? When they built the plant back in the early teens.
2017, I think.
Okay,
It's
mid-teens.
2017 is when it went
We
online.
just put it online. Federal money, primary, you know, pretty much built that plant. And then now you've got another grant that's federal money. Okay, so the federal government doesn't look lightly on how we use their money, obviously. they can print money all day and they don't care, but they wanna make sure we're accountable.
Right.
So, let's say that the plant were to become privatized, which that would be an option. You know, somebody could come in and buy the plant and operate it as a private business. I can't say this for certainty, but when I spoke with, Olivia Collier with ARC a few months ago, she made this comment that the ARC is not in the business of making grants to private business. So she mentioned that there could be a payback, okay? And just my accounting brain would say, well, they probably look at it like a loan over the life of the plant, and, you know, part of it, they've utilized the money, and part of it they've not, maybe it's the unamortized piece of that, like a better term, loan. That would have to be, funded. Obviously, if there's no town, then grant money, you know, the town is a good conduit for grants. So, you know, it's in the best interest of everybody for the town, if you want to continue to get grants and work grants, to be able to operate. And so you've got the $700,000 in the ARC money right now sitting ready to be spent on good things like fixing the water system. But if there's no town, then what would happen with that grant? So, you know, I told you I was gonna be the bad guy for that. Then if the town were to turn its charter in, that takes an act of the General Assembly. They can, a special law put the town in place, and a special law will take it out of business. Then that money, whatever's left, whatever assets the town has, then it would basically be up to the General Assembly of how those assets were to be distributed. So, the county may absorb it, or, another local government, or, you know, whatever, would absorb it. It would be probably another, government that would take these assets.
Almost certainly, because any other recipient of it is gonna be unconstitutional as an
Exactly,
You
right.
can't just take a government property and give it into private hands and it not be against the law, essentially.
So we would have another governing agent handling the water plant.
Well, that's another option with the water plant. A special district, water district could be formed, that would have its own board. It wouldn't be like, have the same powers and authorities and responsibilities as, a town, but it would have an acting board. Or the county, would absorb the water plant.
And even TVA could be a possibility, I
And
suppose.
maybe, I
Just
don't know.
thinking out loud about all the
Yeah.
possible
Yeah.
scenarios.
So, you know, y'all are basically at a crossroads. I mean, if there's no revenue coming in, then some hard decisions are gonna have to be made.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Who owned the water plant before the county was formed, the old water plant?
The TVA owned it.
Now, the town took it on,
Yeah, I was.
and then, but when there's stipulations, like, if there's no longer a water plant in operation there, then it reverts back to TVA.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was
And that
just
could be
curious if
how, yeah.
And it's the same way with the one that we currently have. So like, if there was no water plant in operation there, that property would go back to TVA as well.
So that's part of what my firm was brought in to do, was to navigate getting, so when Pepper Tree that became Fontana Village Inc., there had never been formal deeds of conveyance of anything along the way, but the intent of TVA, all the way back to the 1972 lease, had been to separate, they want to own the dirt, so they have the fee simple ownership of all of it. The big chunks of land are leased for the resort area. They didn't want to own the improvements on top or the utility systems. It's just never been formalized with deeds of conveyance. So that's what part of what we did. And as Ellery says, it was formalized then that Fontana Village Inc. got deeded title to all of the buildings. The the water plant, wastewater, electrical grid all were deeded into the town.
Does the town, does the water lines, like the distribution system and the collection system, back all towns?
Yes. And you've got easements that run even outside of the leased area in some places. That's a direct conveyance from TVA to the town. That's an easement area to operate all of that.
I still don't really understand the electrical side of this whole scenario. We've never done anything with that, and it just,
I think it was intended to be kind of a pass-through that the town and as Becky says, you know, one of the great sort of advantages of the foundation of the town to benefit the resort to begin with was the ability to apply for, accept, and administer grants that a private entity is not going to be eligible for to begin with.
right.
And that was part of, and I remember seeing the electrical grid and what kind of state it was in. I mean, there was some, I don't know anything about that stuff, and it looked like turn of the century stuff. It was old, scary.
Yeah.
You don't want to see, you know, you go in an old house and see knob and tube stuff everywhere. That's, you know, you never see that on big transformer type things. That's what it looked like. So I think that's mostly what it did, was allow the town to own it, administer grants to fix it all up, and then
We put a
because of the
substation in up there, so yeah.
Because of the firm power contract, TVA, the intent was always for TVA to have a direct customer in the resort.
Right.
And you just be sort of the conduit.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah, but we don't even do that, like, we don't collect anything from Big Cove or anything. At one time, that was supposed to be something they were gonna pass on to us, but, that was back when Jeremiah was still alive even. I don't know. They had a guy that did it, that lived out there in Big Cove, and it was just a good program for everybody, and that was the last I heard of it.
So, you know, I tried to sit down and think about what your options could be, or what my recommendations would be. Because it's obvious that it's to everybody's advantage that the town get grants to help maintain the infrastructure, which benefits the resort, so that the resort can remain viable. How do we work this out? Well, as Tommy was mentioning, you know, one of the biggest issues and problems I see is that the resort is basically paying the bills for the water system. That was an agreement that was put forth when the town was put in place. But even though there's very few other customers, you know, they're basically paying all the bills for all the customers in addition to the resort. So the commingling of transactions needs to be separated. For one thing, when SERCAP is able, once you get through the grant process and you can get some meters, then SERCAP can come in and help set rates. But if you don't have all the costs accumulated of what it costs truly to produce a gallon of water, then you don't know, your rate's still not worth the paper it's written on. So, and there's no way of knowing what's equitable, okay, for everyone, whether it be the resort, you know, is the resort paying more than it should or what have you. Plus, you know, it's to the advantage of the resort and the town both to use that grant to find all these leaks, you know.
We find that, I mean, like what you said, like we're losing 70% water. Every way I figured it's between 70 and 73% water. We cut that down, we're using 73% less chemicals. We're gonna lose an operator and a half. One person could run the plant easily in the winter time. Summer months, we might need a part-time one person, you know, I mean, it's just, everything you look at, you're gonna reduce that down, because we're producing so much water. Right
Just
now,
a little bit.
this month, we've been over.
We use a quarter of the water we produce essentially.
And that's a guess, it could be less than that,
Quarter's
because
worth
we
of
have no meter, we have 1 meter
Right.
at the marina. I mean, that's just based on the average throughout the state of what a residential connection we use and a commercial connection we use. That's just
So,
estimated.
finding the leaks and metering specific,
I tell you though, there's been no lack of trying to
Sure.
find those leaks.
Oh, we've hunted and
Sure.
hunted and
Yeah.
hunted and hunted.
What you're saying exactly, but we know 10% or less is called the norm
Yes.
in this field. So we're still way far
Yeah.
off of that. And that's where, just what Becky was saying and what we were saying as well. There's no reason to go forward with a rate study right now because
No, there's no way to figure it out.
credibility in it yet.
And there's one aspect that I don't know that really has been seen or is obvious, and that is, I guess, the electrical side of, you know, we don't have any metering on what electrical usage is at the water, at the wastewater, at the intermediate. So those are pretty big numbers
Cost of
that are
production.
gonna get
It
factored
goes right
in.
into your budget, for
Right.
cost of production as well.
So the budget for the water system, you know, as you're going into your, you know, FY '25 budget, which I can't believe I'm saying that, the budget for your water system, you know, needs to include all of these costs.
Yes.
And, you know, I realize that the resort is paying the wages for some, you know, business reasons, of the water operators, but, you know, there needs to be a way to where your budget reflects, exactly what it's costing.
Yes.
So that we
We
can
gotta
do
work
the rate
towards that.
study.
We
Yeah.
gotta continue to work in that
Yes.
direction as much as we possibly
Yes.
can.
And then, you know, on your user fee side, oh, wait a minute, I wanted to make one other point too, is that getting a handle on all of these things, you know, there's an opportunity that I'm not sure that the town, I know we've discussed informally about becoming, you know, a distressed unit under the Bible Utilities program under DEQ. And so, you know, I would urge the town to start moving forward on that rating process. You may not qualify, you know, believe it or not. You may not make the points, but at least you would know where you stand.
Right.
And I think the DEQ is prepared to, you know, to get with the town and go through that
Yeah,
process.
they have, I think they have the audit and they're going through the initial,
That initial
part of the
run-through.
process.
And
right now.
I sent him that 6 months to action
Okay.
too, so
Good.
we could go by it. Yeah,
And-
Matthew is, he's a pretty good friend with the town.
And
He
we
and
need
I,
to, you know, again, we need to make sure that they know about all the costs.
Right.
Because the audit's not necessarily capturing.
Right.
that.
yeah,
And, you know, honestly, the town and the resort have got to, I know you guys have been meeting after meeting after meeting, but it's time to put pencil to the paper and figure out, you know, what that fair, user fee is to where the town can remain viable, and where the resort is, you know, is not feeling or not perceiving that they're paying more than what they should, okay? And I know the town has made steps to reduce their costs, but the time is way past now for the resort and the town to come to an agreement. And, you know, we have to remember that the town, even though it's probably, I guess it's the smallest town in North Carolina, I think you still have that.
I think so.
Probably, I'd be surprised.
Has the same, as your attorney will say, has the same responsibilities and authority as Charlotte, you know, statutorily. And so that's the reason that we have to, you know, untie these bonds that were put in place so that everybody understands what their role is, you know. And that's a little muddy just because, you know, pretty much everybody here works for the resort, and it's hard to segregate that, but it's important that everybody that's sitting at the table when you're in the board meeting, that you're thinking town, so that you can make the most effective decisions you can. So that's my recommendations. We've discussed this several times informally, when I've been working with the administrator and the mayor, just to kind of get a sense on where the town is. But I wanted the whole board to hear that, what you've got ahead of you. Because at this point, you know, it's January, clock's ticking, you know, you're gonna be in August or September before you know it.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing budget meetings very
Exactly.
quickly, and we've gotta try to hammer out a general framework that we can all live with, so that we've got a better path forward come next fiscal year.
Exactly. And, you know, I'll just use an example, that's kind of apples and oranges, but in a way it's apples to apples, is when I was the finance officer for the county, I sat down with the finance director for the schools, because many times, especially if the state doesn't hammer out their budget until like October again, the schools are only getting a percentage of what they normally get in their allotments. And so we came to the agreement that I would front load their current expense payment to mimic their cash flow, so that they were getting a higher current expense the first 3 or 4 or 5 months of the year, and then we pulled it down when their cash flow came up. This is kind of the reverse. You know, we know that the resort is living on savings right now. You know, I'm glad to know that the resort is staying open, but they're living on savings.
The
right
revenue
now.
isn't steady, it seems to
Yeah.
ebb and flow.
It's gonna, and, you know, but yet in the summer is when the revenue's gonna be higher, and so, you know, I would recommend that you guys continue to talk about that, to let that user fee mimic that cash flow, so that you're not creating a burden on the resort, but on the other side, the town's not, you know, totally floating the boat for the resort when there's no revenue coming.
That's been the solution with past
Yeah.
groups, and it makes sense.
So, I've been the bad guy, I've been the bearer of bad news, that's what I do best. People can tell you that all over the county here. But, you know, I want to stand as a, you know, I'm a assistant, you know, I'm here to give advice and guidance, but at the end of the day, all I can do is recommend, and the board can either act on it or not act on it. But the board is gonna have to start making plans one way or the other if there's no agreement that's put in place.
I think an agreement, you know, resolving where we're at and then figuring out a path forward is gonna be critical, I guess, for a lot of different aspects of this partnership.
Yeah. And one other thing, just as a reminder, with your contract, with your generator.
Yeah.
You know, make sure you're doing your pre-audit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
on that.
We went back and looked, and that was a reminder there.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
We were reviewing an email from November, and
yes,
pre-audit was a note that she had.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll
So,
make that note again.
Anyway, that's all I've got to say. I appreciate your time.
Thank
But I
you.
felt like it was.
Thank you for your honest assessment. Thank you for your interest and your analysis and your advice. I mean, we're kind of in uncharted territory. It's a very unique situation, and we're trying to navigate it as best we can. And you know, the hope is one of these days we can. I feel like we're kind of in that training wheel stage. You know, we moved from baby town to toddler town, and you know, because we're what, 11, 12 years old, 13 years old. I'm trying to remember.
13, it'll be 13 this year.
13, yeah.
So, you know, the hope is we can, you know, get off the training wheels at some point, i.e. having some assistance to keep us going, and we can actually have some income coming in independent, so that we don't have to rely so much on the help of others.
Yeah. And, you know, I enjoy coming up here. I appreciate how open that the town has been to, you know, working with me. But if we could get this resolved, then, you know, that's a huge step forward for the town to get off the UAL. Not to say that you'll get off of it this coming year. We're still waiting on that list. But having your audits timely and being able to sustain and, you know, comply with the general statutes and get your tax collection rate up, you know, those are all positive steps that the town can say, you know, we took toward getting off the UAL. Now, for right now, because of the VUD, you need to be on the UAL. So,
Right.
you know, that gives you points. But, you know, the object of my role is to help you move forward and be sustainable to where you don't have to have me visit all the time. I would just be visiting to come and get a hamburger at the Greek, and just checking in, so, you know, but I do appreciate your time and your listening ears and, you know, the good work we've done together over the past few months.
Well, we appreciate you too,
If I
Becky.
could briefly just piggyback on what Becky said, the thing that, from my observation and a little bit of removal from the situation is, I think it was perfectly clear to Fontana Village Inc. when it went about the business of getting the town incorporated, what the usefulness of that was to support the village. I don't know, and I wasn't involved in the transfer, you know, Fontana Village Inc. when it sort of ended its lease and moved along. I don't know how well any of that got communicated and what the town is and why it came into being and what its function is, and also without getting into any of the sort of, you know, what would you do if it wasn't kept viable? And because I guess that's the thing I want to see if I can be of help to you in trying to bridge that gap to explain how we got where we got. I wrote a lengthy memo for Fontana Village Inc. at the time to use in a sort of marketing effort. And I don't know if it ever got anywhere because I don't think they ultimately did that from what I can tell.
Right, yeah, I'm not aware of it.
So I want to see what I can help do to kind of explain, you know, why we are where we are. Because I can understand coming into it, if it wasn't, you know, an arm's length thing from Fontana Village Inc. to Fontana Ventures. So I don't know that there's been a good explanation of why we have.
Probably not much more than what Rob and I have tried to share,
Right.
and then maybe what TVA might have put out there, but I don't know actually how much they put out there.
I don't think TVA was fully aware of the arrangements, and, you know, they had just let us do things and we sign agreements if we need to sort of bridge responsibilities and gaps. Once Baker came on board, we kind of got them up to speed, but then, and we reached out to the group beforehand and we kind of made this very unique arrangement, tried to make it as transparent as possible, what some of the needs were going to be. It's, you know, it can be challenging, I think, to accept some of the asks, and I think when you're looking at, when your primary offering point is that, you know, we have the ability to have some grants available in, you know, in the distance. We have one there, but we can potentially have others. It's, you know, you pay the bill and then you keep waiting for that proof in the pudding to kind of hit, I suppose. I think we can get there. I think it's just, we're gonna have to get together and put our heads together and see what we can, you know, live with on both sides. I think there's gonna have to be some compromise, and I'm hopeful we can do that. But, I mean, that memo, like you said, maybe shoot it to Zell if possible, if it's something we could potentially utilize. You know, we worked with, I think Gordon Myers was, you know, he kind of worked with us even though he was representing Inc. And then he had a representative in Jeff Morse, who, you know, between the two of them and, you know, we worked out the necessary sort of arrangements to make that partnership work.
Yeah, like you said, with the Inc., it was very much hand in glove at the time about why, you know, how the town got founded.
Eventually, we may have gotten into a problem where they weren't able to pay, and we had some growing pains there from time to time. A lot of times it had to do with revenue and whether or not revenue was flowing freely or not so much. It's a thing. So again, all you can really do is be hopeful and try to move forward as best we can. And so that's what we're doing. And we appreciate you guys, you know, being here and looking in on, you know, we're 6 months into our budget year now, roughly, and you know, it's shining some light on some issues we're going to have to resolve before this thing keeps going in a negative direction. Anything else from you, John?
Unless you have any questions, I'm here for.
Okay.
I think on behalf of the resort, we want the town to stay intact. It obviously makes a lot of sense. You said that very well. you know, from an ownership standpoint, and Thomas is part of ownership, you know, people that ran this resort for so many years, and while there's been so many different people that's had it, financially couldn't make it work, okay? You now have business people that are here, and they're gonna ask questions and bring people in like myself, who's been doing this 30+ years, and challenge and say, what can we do to run this and be more effective? And I don't think, we're not asking for anything any more than that. And I think there has been growing pains. I've been here 4.5 months. I think we make progress every day. I think the resort and the town work hand in hand. I've never seen a place have more water leaks than we have here. And when I say that, I mean water leaks, large ones. And, you know, our guy is in the hole and your guy's in the hole with him, and they're working hand in hand. So I applaud that, and, you know, I think we're getting much better. I think there's some more ideas that we have that we think we could do. But from a standpoint of the resort, we want the town to be intact. We want to work with you guys. We're just trying to see this as, it's a business operation. It's got to make money, and it's got to be sustainable. And it hasn't been, and that's why there's been so much change. No one is saved because they can't make it work. So for us to be able to make it work, it has to be sustainable.
And we've inherited a lot of problems that aren't of your making or of our making.
No,
and
no,
we're
no,
trying
and
to
we
make
know that.
lemonade out of a whole bunch of lemons.
And I think you guys are trying, and I think we're getting better every day. It's just, you know, I think there's a little bit more that we got to go. We want to be supportive of the whole thing, and we want to be, you know, we want to be good partners in this. We're your largest contributor. You know, all we're asking is that obviously we have a seat at the table. We're here as a guest, and you know, we just want to continue to try to get better and find ways that we can run the town more effectively and more, you know, from a cost standpoint. So that's our 2 cents.
It's a partnership, and we'll have to maybe look for an opportunity to maybe have another meeting now that we're in January. And
Yeah,
we're kind of maybe in a little bit different mindset. So we'll talk about that certainly some more.
Good.
So, well, since we're still kind of on our water plant, anything more from you want to talk about? I assume everything was running okay down there?
Yeah, everything's good.
No emergencies?
Better knock on some wood.
Well, other than that pump.
They have the power back on. I'm sorry.
I got you.
Nerve-wracking, so.
No, this is all, but we just need to get the generators and the pump, and everything else is the
So-
same.
So, yeah, we'll get on that tomorrow. And
We're losing, I don't know, so we're
it just,
climbing over 200
first thing in the
gallons.
morning, as soon as you can get hold of them, get what that emergency cost would be, and then,
Okay.
we'll go from there.
So, do we want to go ahead and jump to like an approval on this generator contract? Do we think bronze is the way to go? I mean, there's a part of me that thinks silver could be something, you know, for a few $100s more, we get a second visit, and we typically have 2 periods, you know, we've got
Do
our,
we have to get more bids in there, Becky, for that, so? Okay.
we've got a pre-workup, I guess, coming into the season, that we got to figure out when we want to be doing our service. And I know we're going to be doing a service here in the middle of winter, I suppose, but where that regular service starts to fall, you know, and then we also want to make sure we're prepared going into winter, because that's when a lot of
Yeah,
bad things seem to happen, storms.
so you're thinking
winter
maybe
storms.
twice a year?
I mean, we could start with the bronze maybe and work our way up once we kind of get going. I don't know. I'm opening this up for discussion.
What do you
I
guys
would
think?
think as far as funds go, I would say doing the once a year is absolutely a must.
Yeah.
But I feel on top of that, you should add the load test on, and if you had to choose between
Okay.
the load test and the
Silver.
bronze or silver, I would choose bronze and your load test.
I can agree with
I don't
that.
know if
Do
it's.
you want the 2
2
hour load
yeah, I
test
was
or the
gonna say,
4
I don't
hour?
know. What, you have a copy, what is?
It varies by manufacturer's recommendations, so if they recommend a 4-hour load test, they're probably doing it based on manufacturer specs.
Okay. They recommend the 4 hour, is that?
I'm not sure if they do. So.
Explore
Did
that.
they carry or
I
did
had
they just
4-hour load tests
give you the
before on
option?
some of my
It was-
generators, but.
It was an option.
Just an option, it didn't make the stress one way or the other?
I guess the question is, when was the last time we had one?
Never.
Never, no,
So-
it's never.
Oh.
So
So-
the oil has never
Never.
been changed in the generator.
Oh,
I would say
wow.
your initial
I'm
load
not
test should
even
be
sure.
4 hours, just
That's
based
what
on
it seems to me.
setting
Yeah,
a
yeah.
benchmark, so to speak.
I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
you just have to do what you gotta do and bite the bullet, and I
But this
think,
is getting your ground level
I was
benchmark.
shocked that there was nothing in place for this.
In all fairness, in doing what I've been doing, I would, my personal, the load test needs to be done, and at least the bronze.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we lose power, which has happened here.
Right.
Since I've been here.
Yeah.
We're done, so.
Yeah,
I think it's a no-brainer from that standpoint, but.
yeah.
Well, but that emergency testing is different than the, I mean,
Well, the
right?
emergency service, so there's bronze or silver is a question.
Yeah, that includes like all the fluids, the oil tanks, the filters and all that, so that's included in that price. But when we go to looking at batteries, and if we've got,
Yeah, that's
like if
gonna,
the starter's bad on that generator down there, then we'll have to pay the cost. of
yeah, there's gonna be some
And he
additionals,
said,
for
that
sure.
when I talked to him this afternoon after he sent me these quotes, we're looking, this is not just coming in a couple of hours, this is gonna be in it's all day order, I mean, it's gonna
Hopefully
be a
it's
long
one
day.
day, one full day, hopefully.
And
Not more.
and the load tests are just recommended for the wastewater and the water, not the portable, because I mean,
Right,
it's just, I
exactly.
mean, that's.
Yeah, we know the portable will power what we needed to do up there,
Yes.
we've already done it.
Yes,
So,
well, it's just doing one thing.
so we thinking
For that.
bronze for now, we can always bump up if we need to, but bronze, and then I guess the other question is, do we wanna find out how much it would cost to get him out here immediately? Hopefully it's not too prohibitive, I mean, I'm assuming maybe an extra few $100s perhaps,
And the cost of him coming out yesterday will be
part of
blocked
it.
out, it'll be, if you sign this contract, it'll be just part of it.
So do we
It'll be
wanna
included in that.
say if the cost of the emergency is less than a certain threshold, what are we willing to stomach before it gets to be too much, $300-400 for the, to expedite the call, or, you know, I mean, if it's $1,000, I think it's like, ooh, but,
It's just what you're willing to risk.
But exactly, it is a
Get out of
risk
water,
reward.
Are you willing to?
My
Right.
thing is with
From,
the emergency.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to
No,
interrupt
it's
you,
okay.
but from the standpoint of the insurance policy that you're basically creating by doing this
the
ASAP.
sooner the better.
And,
So-
in my state regs, my water, on my water, I mean, we got to have a working generator.
Yes.
We're gonna be out of compliance if we don't.
Well,
I mean, I'm not volunteering, I'm not gonna call Nicole and say, hey, Nicole, look, we're down, you know. But if she, I'm not going to, but you know, I don't know when they're gonna show up. I usually
Right.
get a heads up when she's in the area, but if they just come through and,
Well, you're looking to follow
So-
your DEQ regulations so
I
that
mean,
you
like,
stay
I
out
know,
of
you know,
trouble
it's
and
not
don't
just-
have a compliance issue,
yeah,
so
I mean,
it's,
it's pretty hard to get, it's pretty hard to get a violation unless you're just.
really
It's
trying
gotta
to
be blatant about it,
So,
basically,
I
yeah.
mean, it's really easy to get in wastewater, but on the water side, I think, that-
Right.
I mean,
So
you
here's,
can get them, but it's not, you're not looking at a fine or something like this, or it's just, you know, look bad on us, and we could get in trouble for it.
so if our timeline is 3 weeks, and we put in the emergency call, we don't even know how much that bumps us up. If that bumps us up to like, 2 or 3 days, my willingness to pay a lot more money to get it done would be, there.
Right.
But if
It's
paying
gonna be
the
a week and a
emergency
half or
and
something.
it's still gonna be 2
Right.
weeks before they put us in,
Right.
does that
Where did that buy
warrant
Right.
that
paying that
extra
same high
expense?
money.
So
Yeah.
I think that's where kind of like.
So do we wanna
you
say,
agree
we're in the,
that
do we wanna say bronze
bronze for
and,
sure,
and,
for all three, right?
and the emergency to expedite, contingent on something, I mean, as far as an action item here, that way she can proceed and we can go ahead and call a shot if,
You can authorize it not to exceed.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say not to exceed 500 maybe, that might be a safe number.
All I will say is you got a professional here that's done this a long time,
Okay.
and you got a hotel guy that's been here that probably
So pay them
has,
whatever they want?
$100,000 worth of food
Within
at
reason.
times in a hotel. And if I'm
We have
willing
to shut
to
that
lose
down.
that food
Yeah.
because we didn't do this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
I'm just,
Yeah.
they're setting their rates based on the norm in the industry of generator,
Yeah.
maintenance companies. So it's not like they're going to be exorbitant compared to the next company. It's just,
But it could be $3,000 or $4,000, couldn't it?
it just depends.
I don't think the service call's
You know,
gonna be, like the service call come out today, I think was gonna be around, it was under $1,000, like $500.
So if they tack another 500 on top of
To
that,
expedite.
that's pretty understandable.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking is
And even
fine.
if it was
So
1,000,
I was
like you
thinking
just said.
1,000, like I would think that would be.
Well, I mean, it just it bumps us up to near the front of the line, hopefully.
Well,
and-
more than likely, it'll bump you
All the way.
really close,
Yeah.
because a lot of them, they take their emergency call-outs very seriously.
Yeah.
That's what you're paying for, the convenience of being, hey, we're gonna get this done, and stay in compliance.
So maybe we just approve bronze, we approve emergency. If we get something that is very concerning.
makes you go,
You can convey that to Zell, and
Yeah.
we can put that out there and make
Yeah.
sure everybody's got the stomach for something
I'll call him first
large.
thing in the morning, see
Okay.
what because he has to talk to the scheduler about, I can confirm the 3-week thing.
Okay.
If they can get it in, then I can see what the emergency call would be and how much that charge would be. But, I mean, the tech, because we have so much going on with that generator, like it's flipping breakers in the plant, there's a fault on it or something.
Yeah, that's already,
Oh, that's not good.
that's an issue.
On that main computer, that we have two, backup batteries, that the computer that controls the plant.
Stephen, yeah.
I was off that week. But I guess Dennis and, I don't know if Jeff went down there from the village or somebody was down there. And they got it to fire up and everything, got the batteries and added some oil to it and everything. But in the process of doing that, letting it run this, switching to generator power, it flipped the breakers in the box and the outlet that this computer, this backup battery is plugged into and stuff, flipped, so the outlet wasn't working, so those batteries, they ran dead. And so the whole, he couldn't do anything with the plant. It was just, till he
Shut everything down.
ran an extension cord till they figured, and we called our calibration techs, he works on our chemical feed pumps and all that other stuff, and he does some electrical work, figured out what the problem was, and so we flipped the main breaker on the generator, so it cannot power the plant right now. It's not gonna trip anything. Because if we mess that computer up, I don't even wanna think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, that's even more initiative for us to really take it top-notch serious, that we just have to get it done.
Bronze, emergency, 4-hour load test.
That's how I feel comfortable with that.
That's a good start, and then.
I mean, like I said, we just gotta bite the bullet. We see the need, you know, you don't,
And there was, he didn't
Question it.
see any problems with the wastewater generator, other than this, maybe the size of the battery in it was the wrong size, but I mean, it was fired up and it's been doing its weekly thing. It just needs to be serviced, oil changed. fluid
So,
changed.
okay, you said like, that if we take on the contract, it does away with the cost of the visit. That isn't gonna count as our one visit though, right, on the bronze?
No.
Okay,
No.
all right, just making
They just
sure.
have to come out and then they wanna look everything over, see what we have, get serial numbers and see what they're,
so go ahead and jump, real quick, we'll just take action on that here. I'll entertain a motion for what we discussed there. If you wanna-
So it's a bronze,
So I propose a motion, to move forward with an approval of a bronze level, contract and the 4-hour load test, as well as the emergency cost to move us up closer in timeline.
Thank you for the, motion there, Lacey, all in favor?
Aye.
Roger that, motion carries. All right. So we've got that taken care of. Any other aspects of, water, wastewater, Karen?
No, I think the same, still losing much of water,
Yep.
still pumping a whole lot.
don't know where it's going.
Don't have any
Don't have a
idea
clue
where it's
where it's
at.
at.
Yeah.
Got a few options to, I'll get with Jeff.
Yeah.
And we can come up with a good comment that was good for the, what you got going on with him and stuff.
Right now, it's not a
Um,
bad time right now. It's really-
maybe valve off of, switch sections out and see if that changes anything now that that administrative building, that we can cut the water, the main water to that office, there's nobody down there.
Yeah, I'd
Right
say,
outside the road, see
when it
what
warms up,
We'll have some
definitely.
opportunity next week. It's gonna be wet, but I think it's gonna be mild
I can,
for most of the week.
From my point of view, I can look on, I've got SCADA on my computer where I can paint trends, I can tell, give me an hour, I can tell if it's gonna change anything.
The water's turned off the admin building now.
Yes, but it's You know that big hole there in front, the water line comes across there, shoots off the main line that goes down 28?
Yep.
And we know from the old maps that we have from TBA that there used to be water lines on that side of the road. But there's no valves, it's just like pipe rolling on the top. And we've looked over there, but this,
We will help in any way we can with that and be happy
it
to.
doesn't come to the top unless it's just a major flood. It's hard to find water.
I know, this is blowing my mind. I figured for sure we'd found
And then
something with as much
and
effort
I
as we
think
put
a
in.
big point would be to try that more, because it's just one line, it comes from the tank down behind the lodge where it starts filling up and stuff. Check that section, if we've got, I mean, in this grant, I mean, we can say, hey, this 6-inch line, so many feet, that has to be replaced, that's a major problem. And then maybe just fix its main, if it's on the other side of the road, replace that main. I mean, you can always go back in, if you're gonna add buildings and stuff, you can always go back in and tab.
Right.
Because there's nothing there from right now, from when you come into the village at the top of the road, all the way down to Woods Road, there's nothing there that would be using any water right now. It would just be the main line to get it through the village. And then if you add something later on, just go and make it tap.
So Zell, you think we could all get together Monday and just get a plan of action? And
Yeah, we should be
maybe
able to
just
do
get them
that.
over there and just get them on the board and just kind of, all right, we're gonna do this, we'll try this on Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll, bring, cause, what's his name will be back, so maybe Tuesday, Dennis. Of course, we'll have to have somebody watching the plant, but, you can come up with a little
You want me to
while,
come
right?
in, you want me to come in Monday? Tim will be running the
If
plant
it's
Monday.
easier for you, for us to come to the plant, we can come down there, it doesn't matter.
I'll be back running the plant Tuesday.
Just meet
Or I
Tuesday
can
when
come
we get a
over
plan.
Monday while Tim's running the plant and meet you wherever.
That way she isn't like distracted by the plant, so we can still do Monday up at your office.
Just tell me a time and I'll be over Monday.
What's a good time for
I
you?
mean, just-
Yeah, you're the one that has, the meetings,
Just
like,
text whenever and I'll come be available on Monday. And then
You
I'll.
can always come be part of the meetings with me.
Well, I was
You mean the
gonna-
background of a Zoom call?
Prior to get started with it.
Monday's not
It's not an option.
Monday's not a bad day for me at all, so I'm pretty open. You wanna do like 1:30?
okay.
I'll be,
Does that work, or does that earlier work for you?
free all day Monday.
Okay,
So 1:30, let's say 1:30.
good.
One more thing about your statement. That UPS, you said the batteries were run down on it because it had tripped that breaker. If you feel like you'd like a little bit of assistance on that, send me the nomenclature on that by email, and I can help you source out a new battery for that. Or if you can get a compatible UPS, which is pretty easy.
Okay.
I've had to do that in the past because UPSs fail. And,
I think there's two in there, so I'm assuming there's a backup already in place right now.
okay,
But
we can discuss
I
that.
don't,
and
yeah,
just,
I
you
try
know,
not to mess with that unless I have to.
I've
got enough.
I had 5 UPSs in one of my plants, and I mean, changing out batteries doesn't always work, so. But that's just to keep your SCADA safe as well,
Yes.
so. But yeah.
And I might need somebody, Dennis usually does this, get somebody, maybe Jeff or somebody, can go change the battery out at the village tank so I can have a signal on the village. The tank, you know, they're where the solar panel's not charging.
Yeah, so you gotta swap them out
Swap
periodically.
them
Yeah,
out. We got a
I know,
battery
so we're
charger.
needing one up
Can
there.
David do that?
No, it's, Dennis usually keeps them at his house in the
No,
garage.
they're down at the water plant.
Well, he might have moved them down there after they
Yeah,
been
before,
flooded,
right.
but,
If Dennis needs help, I'll get Jeff, whatever.
yeah, I know, Dennis is one that normally does them.
He's off this week, and I'm starting to lose signal, but I don't know if it's, lose communication, but that's a normal thing in the wintertime, if the tree blows the wrong way.
Right.
It's just a radio signal.
So it's
But
point
the
of
battery-
sight then.
If the batteries don't last me the rest of the week, I'm gonna have to,
Have
I don't
somebody,
wanna be driving up and down to the tank.
yeah, we'll have to get somebody to change out. I know they're real heavy,
Yeah, I
they're like
can't,
80
if I
pounds
could
or
do it,
something.
I would do it, but I don't think I can lift them up into that, hang on.
If we can find out from Dennis how to do it, we can get Jeff to help.
Yeah, and I can be there when you guys do that. I'm pretty good with the
It's just-
radio and computer and
all you
once
do-
we get to the low voltage side, I feel.
The battery's just sitting on there, all you do is just unplug the post and plug them.
Yeah, I wanted David to learn how to do that too, in case we needed to have it changed. When Dennis would be off or gone, or who knows
I
what,
could
so,
probably call Dennis and have him do it for me, but I hate
Right.
bothering him.
yeah. We may have to though, just to be able to, if, you know, if
He
they,
is distribution ORC, and that is a distribution problem, technically.
Yeah.
Once it leaves the water plant,
Yes,
it's not
it
my
is.
problem.
If you have a distribution ORC, it's definitely their.
but he's on vacation this week.
Yeah, technically,
Yep.
leave that plant,
Uh,
not my problem, but I talk
All right, we'll cut you loose if you don't have anything else, and we can cut you. Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I really
about. I will
appreciate
call
it.
you tomorrow sometime.
You gonna leave town?
It was so nice to meet all of you.
I guess all you guys are gonna leave.
Or
Pleasure meeting you. I've heard your name a lot. Robert, Tim. He thinks a lot of you. He thinks a lot of you, so.
It's something where you.
Pleasure meeting you. If I never did anything, I didn't bring you to
Because
this.
no, you can only put you on the back of it, I can actually.
John, are you gonna leave?
I'm happy to
So,
stay.
I'd love to connect with you.
Yes.
I know you guys are.
Thanks for coming out, man.
No worries at all.
You, I do.
Guys on,
Pleasure meeting you. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Glad to get you.
Very nice to meet you.
nice to meet you too.
Safe travels too.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye, everybody.
Like I said, appreciate it.
Pleasure meeting you. Thank
Nice to
you.
meet you too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again, Carrie. Appreciate your help
yes,
today.
I'll be in touch tomorrow. Everything's gonna be great
I think we're just gonna be.
tonight.
Well, I mean, it was
Work
just,
out.
yeah, I don't know that we
It's
have
gonna
a.
work out tonight.
Good.
I think we jumped and we had some of our other discussion in that
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah, that
So,
I don't know.
is the other thing you guys.
Yeah, there were a few.
She already brought it. Okay, so the one thing, I know she said that in order for us to be able to sell property, we have to first declare it as surplus. So that's all we have to do is just have to bring it up to the board. Do I need to do a policy or something like that?
Well, tell me what you're selling.
We have a derrick digger that we bought when we were still doing electrical stuff. And now that TVA's taken over that, nobody in the village, we're not
We're
responding
not
to
really
any
using it
electrical.
anymore.
Any idea what it's worth?
Well, we paid, let's see, 30-some thousand,
30-ish thousand, I think,
33,000 for it.
20-ish thousand range.
And how much wear did you put on it?
Let's see.
30
Probably less than 30 now.
Mhm.
I'd be surprised if we got more than 30 now.
Because, and the reason I ask all that is that what state law says is, one, declare surplus, two, if you are allowed to dispose of it by private sale or whatever other means you want to use, if it is not real estate and not worth more than $30,000. So if it's worth less than that, we have a good faith belief that it is.
Right.
Then your declaration is just, it's surplus, we don't need any more, and go try to sell it. And you need a resolution to do that, which I can get you one that you can fill in the blanks on.
Okay.
To
Yeah.
say that that's what you're doing. What do you think that's what?
We can keep that price right around 29.
Yeah, I mean, I will look in my, thing and see, but I don't think that, I mean, we've had it for a couple of years, but we haven't used it all.
We're trying to liquidate it and maybe get some different equipment that we
Yeah,
can
for the
utilize
roads or
for like for
something,
roads
you
and
know.
whatnot.
Yeah,
Right.
thought we might be able to get something that we could fill in patches a little bit better.
Are you gonna try to sell it private, like just list it somewhere? for
Probably
sale?
list it
I was gonna say, are you gonna ask for bids? Like, that could be something you put in the Grand Star for a bid if you wanted to, like, do an ROP.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put the plan on, see how close I am to full.
Okay.
Get close, and go home for a few hours, and I'm gonna not let it drop like I normally would tonight. I'm gonna come back in a little bit and try to keep the tank full until we get this pump. I don't know what time they will be here tomorrow,
I don't either.
and I mean, it's pretty warm in the building right now. I don't think it'll freeze up right now.
Right.
But I'm gonna try to keep, instead of letting it drop down to 12 feet or so, I'm just gonna try to keep it full till we get this fixed.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank
if
you,
you
dear.
can find me, I'm either back or forth.
all right, be safe though.
Okay, I will.
That's all there is. I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah, right. You know, it's really good seeing you again.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the last time I seen you, you were bald headed.
Might not be. If I wasn't, I was close. Yeah, you know.
Gotta own it.
Hair's overrated.
Hey, I like bald heads.
Overrated.
I do. I don't know. I always have.
I bet you're cold though, it's cold in here.
I'm used to it.
I went over and looked, it's like 70.
It does not feel like it's 70 in here.
It got cool there for a little bit.
It's a little drafty.
70 in the
Yeah.
corner where the thermostat is.
I'll tell you what, though, it feels a lot better than what it would in the Bears Den right now, right? When he wrote back, he said, "It's cold." That's all he said. I was like, "Yeah, that's cold, all right."
You see.
Y'all take care.
All right, John, be safe going home, okay?
I'll do it.
All right.
Let's see if we can bang through the rest of this.
RFQ.
Well,
Well, let's see,
the
we got,
financials real quick.
let me go through it real quick. So we did a lot of that with Becky and all, but in our general fund, we have $143,784.28. In our utility fund, we have $25,531.78 for a total of $169,316.06.
And on that 143, roughly with the POW bill, we're talking what, 30?
We probably have like, it's right at 30,000, so we have probably like 113,000.
Yeah.
Because we have a little bit that's also in.
I just like to break that
Yeah.
out because since that is restricted and it gives you a little better idea of
Right.
what we got to play with on some road repair type stuff.
Right, and the main thing though is that we gotta get some money back into the utility fund, because that's dropped like crazy dropped, than what it was, and a lot of it is because of that stupid, like, those chemicals, man, it was over $7,000 in chemicals this last
For
time.
December.
Yeah, and then she said we already need some more chemicals.
Do they go up in price, or is it strictly usage? That's
Well, no, it isn't. That did go up in
A bit,
price, but
there's
Yeah.
just so much water loss usage.
understood.
All right, let's see, we talked, Becky talked about the fund balance issues. I think one of the recommendations that she gave to us is we start looking at, she talked about their 131% being the number they would like to see us at, which would put it, let's see, 3 times 16 is roughly 48. It's right, a little over 200 grand, I think, would be what they would like to see it at. She just said to us when we were talking on the phone, kind of getting her thoughts on things yesterday, we probably need to talk as a council about where our thresholds are, certainly, below that. I mean, they're not saying it can't dip below that from their standpoint, they're just saying that it's below their recommendation. So we have to, start thinking about that, talking about that. Obviously we're kind of in a bit of a transitional sort of area place right now. It's not something we have to necessarily resolve quickly. It's just food for thought. Start thinking about, what threshold would be like, we cannot dip below this because it's, the apocalypse was coming or something like that. It's just,
the apocalypse.
yeah, but of the town or whatever.
Uh,
As far as anything else, is there anything else we want to talk about there, Zoe?
Not with the finances, I mean, everything else is,
It's pretty straightforward.
yeah, pretty much under, I mean, this little thing that I had in here for you was just based on that 6 month actual, that, in here in your packages here. One is for the water, one's for the wastewater, and,
This is part of that little worksheet.
yeah, this is what that book was, and so like on the water, wastewater, it has that we are, our total expenditures are at 48%, which is well under the 58% that they want us to be at, but our collections is only at 16%, which is well below the 42% that they want us at, so. And then,
I just have a quick question just to help me understand this, is that how was the water fund funded before? with
Okay,
previous
so,
operators? Is that only-
one of the things that we had done is like the money that we charged to our residents, we were using that to build our fund balance more than anything. So, previously, we had done, it was pretty much pass through to the resort, on everything. So, you know, since you guys have come on board, we have tried to take out more of the slack by doing some things that we felt like the town should be responsible for, like the operators' education and, you know, various things that.
Certifications.
The phone and the
education,
internet, you know.
Basic costs, things of that thing. You know, some of the lower hanging fruit, and maybe that isn't directly attributable to production of water. Anything that's like, you know, chemicals, lab analysis, stuff like that. You know, I was talking to Zell and I was like, I think that's something that goes directly to the cost of the water production.
Yeah, so we try to, you know, separate some of that out, things that wasn't directly related to water, you know, that the town would pick up.
And even in some of the stuff like that meter at the marina, some of these things that maybe are infrastructure sort of upgrades that we can actually foot the bill on, you know, I know we're gonna run a net negative this year. The question is, how bad's it gonna be?
Right.
That's
I mean, we are getting in dire straits, and a lot of that is because, you know, we've had a couple of big bills from, we had almost 8,000, that was for the chemicals, and then we had 2,500 or something like that was from IDEX, and that's for those little vassals, and that goes into the lab and stuff down there. And then there was, let's see, there was something else that was a big price, but I think it might have been the fuel for the generator, but we actually paid that ourselves too. So, yeah. So the only two things that we put on that for the resort was for the IDEX and for the chemicals, but that was over $10,000. You know, that was paid out. So.
got it. So basically, I think it might be a good idea for us to see if we got any time to try to get together next week, maybe.
Well, I got a couple of ideas, and I think that if you kind of hear where we're at and what we're thinking, I think we can make this thing happen really, really quick.
Yeah. You think a meeting next week would be?
Yeah, but I don't know that Robin's in town. He's traveling, and
That's fine. I mean,
some
I'm
other
around.
businesses. But I think that we could do this, and even he not have to be there.
Okay.
I think if the four of us could meet and just kind of hammer out the ideas that we had, present them to you, and then see where you're at with that. You and Zell go back and think it through. We could do it
Okay.
pretty quick.
I mean, I'm open to ideas. I mean, I think we both know we gotta try to sort of mend the partnership and get to a place
Well,
where.
I don't think the partnership's ever been broken. I just think, you know, what I said about sustainability, it's just, you've had all these people that have come in and tried to run this resort, and for whatever reason, they haven't been able to make it work, and we're just trying to figure out areas where.
Well, and this,
financially-
and another reason that puts us in this position that we're in is because all these people that came in and tried to run this resort really didn't concentrate a whole lot on the infrastructure.
Well,
You know, that had been taken care
It
of
was
through
duct
the
tape and
ages.
baling wire, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can tell you from our standpoint, and Lacey knows this financially because her and I and Thomas deal with this daily. Deferred maintenance in this resort is absolutely terrible. Every time Jeff comes to our office, it's $2,000, $3,000,
Yeah.
$4,000. And the approach that we've taken is, we're not gonna Band-Aid it anymore, we're gonna fix it. And we're gonna do it the right way so that from here on, these problems don't keep happening. And
Yeah,
from
see,
our
if that
investors-
had been everybody's opinion from the very
Yeah.
beginning, then we wouldn't be here right now, and none of this would be an issue because this stuff would be operating correctly. You know, but if we can ever get to the point where we can get our water lines and our distribution, the wastewater lines, we can get all of that stuff taken care of, then I feel like we'll be on a little bit more of an even keel as far as like the cost associated with it, you know, because there won't be as much. And we all know that water is our biggest expense.
It's the elephant in the room. We know.
It is. It's our biggest expense, and you know, and it's not like we haven't tried to do anything since the town was formed, and especially since I've been on. I mean, we have spent a lot of man hours and brought a lot of people in from all over the state to try and help us find these leaks. People that bring equipment in
this.
and know how to do this.
It has been surprising
and
that
find the leaks.
professionals have not been able to find
Yeah.
it with their sonar equipment and whatnot. You would think water flowing would be something that you could find, but It's this.
It's been my
Craziest
junior
thing
year.
I've ever seen.
Cavern somewhere deep below.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Go for a walk.
An underground
I
cavern.
don't want to
Wow.
see some giant sinkhole into
You
existence.
know, those underground lakes, I see a great source of income coming our way.
No,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tourist
yeah.
destination.
Let's do tours.
All right.
$20 probably.
Go splunking.
Yeah, that'll take care of all of our problems.
All of our
On
problems.
the financials, and anything, do we have anything else we want to discuss there, guys?
Probably not now. We will, reconvene with that, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe we can, get it, if we're going with Carrie, maybe sometime we might be able to talk a little bit more about it on Monday. If you-
I'm ready anytime you are.
So,
I think
okay,
I can
well,
make-
I mean, we're gonna meet with her at
I
1:30,
think
so.
I can tell you a few thoughts running around in my head that we can make things happen really, really, really quick. So, and I don't think it's gonna be hard on anyone, and I think you'll see the writing on the wall, I think. And it's not gonna be something that anyone's gonna be raked over the coals for, so.
Well, that's cool, that cold break.
You're piquing my
I don't
interest,
like
but
that.
I'll let it be a mystery until then.
Yeah.
I don't wanna be raked over no coals.
right.
I don't do well being raked over coals.
So, moving to the RFQ discussion then.
Yeah, we kinda didn't get to talk to her no more about that, so I don't know if we have to advertise again. We have one.
She seemed to be saying that she thought we probably would fall, you know, she referenced an email back in November, and I pulled it up, and she seemed to be saying that because it was professional services, that we probably, it's not the same as an actual, and I think it has to be under 250, so what's the number?
There is no numbers at this point in
Okay.
time.
So it's
an
just the
RFQ.
The way that, well, based on the budget that had gone out, to ARC and stuff.
There's only so much
It'll
that
be
can go to-
under the 250
Yeah.
threshold for the engineering service.
So it's a question of, so do we have another one coming from a different?
So what I have is I had a question from an engineer that I had asked to respond here. Let me just pull up this email real quick. Trying to work really fast, guys. I know it's chilly.
Did you hear anything from Mitchell?
No, he said he sent it on, that's all he told me. Not
So,
anything else.
Withers and Ravenel Engineering, Jason Bertoncino, I asked where he was and if he was gonna respond still. He had his guy was out. The lead utility engineer will be there. He will have he can get something together by the end of the month, is what he said. So you've got.
Well, so let's look
you
at
got
this then.
one, right?
If we, yeah, we got the one, if we wait on somebody else to see if we can get another one in, and we're talking like the end of the month. So we're gonna be really up in springtime when all of this is ready to start moving, and then we got people coming in. What do we wanna look, I mean, what kind of time frame
Well,
are we wanting to look at here?
I think we're still looking at some general analysis, and we're talking about trying to figure out what we can do that would be minimally invasive, that would not impose significant risk of shutting us down, basically. You know, we're gonna be.
Yeah, we gotta take that
You know,
risk out
because
of the
if we wanna isolate a section and we wanna install a valve, there's a certain amount of risk that comes with that. So we have to kinda pick and choose when we do that kind of stuff, and we're, like you said, we are running up against the season a little closer. We do have a little bit more time. Do we want to give another, you know, do we want to at least have two to kind of bounce off of each other, or do we want to proceed with this? I mean, I wouldn't.
I know that they did say in their email that they would be more, that they got the availability to help us now.
And
So
I
that is
hate
a bonus.
I hate to not take advantage of a situation like that. I mean, I'm kind of, if we didn't have anybody else possibly on the hook, I would say go ahead and go with this. You know, because we don't have, you know, one in the bush at that point.
It's already the 17th, why don't you just ask him if it would be possible, say, hey, we're really in a time crunch, we're really hoping maybe by next Friday. That gives him like a whole, that's almost the end of the month, but it gives him like just that time frame, and then that's it.
Yeah, we could say that we could hold it open.
I don't.
And if they can't, then
We're talking 2 weeks from today, end of the month.
Well, why don't we just, it would be for the next, why don't we just do it for the next meeting? Have it, you know, that we would give it another month to the next meeting.
Next meeting is the 14th, so it does fall a little bit earlier in the month. Oh, no.
No,
it's not.
I think
the
it's
21st.
20th
Ah,
first, yeah, it's.
Good, you didn't want it on Valentine's Day anyway.
Yeah, really, you better be taking your life out on that day.
probably gonna be over there working.
Yeah, that's a big day for her profession,
Yeah,
I would
probably
think.
will.
Or
Yeah.
at least that weekend, I think, is gonna be.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're just having, we could try to push it one more and see if we can get another one in. We can try to push it to the end of the month. We can,
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
I'm,
I'm not close to any of these. Any of the people that I said, hey, you guys should take a look at this. I don't.
It would be good to have at least one other, I would think that, to give them to the next meeting. Yeah, that'll give you time to, or me, or one,
So-
yeah, it don't matter, one of us,
are
yeah.
you saying to the next meeting, or are you saying?
Yeah, I think to the next meeting, because
So-
otherwise we'd have to continue this meeting.
So we'll just do it.
The other firm that we haven't heard back from yet either is on top of Gresham Smith with Withers, Ravenel, and Bakers. We haven't heard from McGill and Associates
Yeah.
either.
So we make a
Potentially,
very concerted effort to contact
Yeah.
everyone one last time and give
Yeah.
them one last opportunity
Yeah.
to
Okay.
get in on this tremendous opportunity over here.
Okay, there you go.
Heck of a pitch, Rob.
Ah.
Heck of a pitch.
Tremendous
It's a
opportunity.
tremendous
There you go.
opportunity.
So that's what we'll do, we'll extend it one more month, and,
Okay.
I messaged
And that'll be-
Rachel,
I don't-
so I should hear
is-
something back.
And are you worried that's gonna like super delay the process? Cause like with occupancy March, end of February, March anyways, you still got some weekdays, right? Where we could,
We really don't get anything until that third week in March.
well, you'll start getting hikers in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It will be a little,
They
I
don't
think it'll
need
be
showers.
less because
The hope we,
our modules will be closed
the
down.
hope is we can,
or the plan was more,
Where are you gonna put, I don't know where you're gonna put it.
because the rate structure in the lodge would be.
my hope is we can get a better handle on what the system is, analyze it, start poking around here and there where we have some holes. And then once we can analyze it, then we can start developing that plan, and hopefully come the end of, the season this coming year, we can be, digging some things up and starting to go after some high priority areas.
Yeah, and we can do stuff maybe that isn't,
Smaller stuff.
yeah, smaller stuff.
During
that
windows we
yeah.
might have, say
Right.
in mid-September or mid-August, if we end up having that lull like we used to have.
Right, so,
So,
so then I think, approval of RFQ extension.
21st.
okay, motion to approve the extension of the RFQ until the 21st of February 2024.
Yep, Thomas, you making that motion?
Hi.
I am making that motion. I agree. Do I have to agree after I make the motion?
No,
too?
no,
Okay.
no. All right, so.
If you someone to.
So the next discussion was, we talked about the derrick digger. We have that derrick digger that's just sitting there. We're
Yeah,
not
so
really
we have
using it.
to make it surplus we have to vote, the board does to make it
And
surplus.
Jason, you guys don't see a need for that piece of equipment to use?
I don't think so, but in all fairness, I mean, I don't know how much we're gonna wanna do with just patch jobs. We'd love to get more bang for our buck. I mean, the roads, if we all rode around right now and went through them, there's a lot of opportunities there. So I just think we need to think about that wisely, and that's probably,
As far as pursuing a,
yeah,
If we
I mean,
could
I don't think you're keeping the machine you have now, you're not using it.
Right,
So-
and we could, with what we can get out of that and the money that we got saved, that could probably give us about, probably $60,000, somewhere in that range.
ideally, if we could spend 20 on, to get a trailer with a hot box, and then we could put the asphalt in that, we can cut the hole, we can put it in hot, and then you can roll it with an actual roller. So we have a small roller as well. I think we do a much more professional patch job in that situation.
Much wider spot.
We're looking at redoing the general store parking lot and changing the parking lines and things of that nature.
Okay.
So there's been some conversation that.
So you'll have somebody in here already mobilized perhaps?
Possibly,
Okay.
but if we could coordinate and do a lot of things like that, it might behoove us to look at that area as well. Because if they're here already doing work,
Sure.
they might say, hey, yeah, we'll do that for X. And
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
then
some
the
patches.
county has that main road and.
Right,
our
everything has got the
ownership's-
devil out of line is,
And I
outside
should have reached
recreation.
out to them and asked them if they could help us with that as well, so, substitute.
Well, they were going to help us out with that one, and then all of a sudden changed their tune on that about putting gravel in it down there
Yeah.
by the pit stop, so that just kinda got, I don't know.
Yeah, that was me
I don't-
down the road. So we'll go ahead and surplus property that, and we'll go there.
Sweet.
Anything else we wanna talk
No
about
one
there?
needs a sticker, you not really using
No.
it, yeah, okay.
No, I think we go ahead and surplus it, and then we can,
Oh, we got it, somebody has to make a
I
motion.
Yeah.
propose a motion to, surplus the Derek digger.
all in favor?
Alright,
So we just gotta keep that, like you said, 30 grand, under 30 grand, so.
Right,
We'll put an asking price of $29,995. No, we'll try to make sure what the comp is, and if it's around 30 grand, we can certainly come in under 30 grand.
But if it's 40,
If it's
you
gonna
don't
be-
wanna,
No, I think then we gotta figure out
yeah.
the process. I'm pretty sure it won't be unless it appreciated, or we just got a heck of a deal.
yeah.
Because we paid 30 something, I think it was low 30, 35.
Yeah, I wanna say like 33, but I can't remember for sure.
it's just been sitting out there.
Yeah, we have used it some, but I mean, TDA's used it, or
All right.
TDA's used it, but.
All right, anything else you guys need to discuss?
I cannot think of anything right now.
Roger that. All right. Next meeting is Wednesday, February 21st.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
We will
you.
adjourn at 7:27.